Welcome to this episode of the Art Life Podcast. I am your host. I am D.Muse. This episode, of course, is brought to you by the Pay the Artist Club. If you need any assistance with your art marketing, sales, branding, or positioning, got any events coming up, need to know how to go about planning them, producing them, and getting the best results possible, make sure you contact me, all platforms at I am D.Muse, or go to imdmuse.com and inquire about joining the Pay the Artist Club, right? So this episode is titled Giving Galleries Commissions, right? Of course, this is a constant thought, regardless what side you're on about it, or your feelings about the matter. When we're talking about galleries, we're talking about retail spaces that have bills that need to be paid in order for them to continue to operate those retail spaces. So they need to be generating this money from somewhere, and that money comes from the profit that they make when selling their wares. Like any other retail space, they'll buy something for a certain price point, they'll sell it for a certain price point. The difference between those price points is their profit, in which all expenses and everything come out of, right? Now, galleries typically don't buy your artwork. That would definitely put them on the hook for something that's unproven, and something that's not a necessity in terms of you need it for immediate survival, maybe overall well-being, mental fortitude, all of those things. But I can probably go a couple of months without seeing art as long as I'm eating. So my vision still works, and I'm not doubled over with hunger pains. So because of that, you got to be a little more tactical in how we do things. But everybody has bills, everybody has expenses, just like you as an artist have them. The building has them, that brick and mortar place has it. Even if it's just a virtual gallery, there's still expenses behind marketing, behind, website maintenance, upkeep, administration, those things. Everything costs. Nothing that I know of is free. So they have to be covered somehow, some way. So there should be a mutually beneficial relationship between artists and art galleries, because you can't have an art gallery if you don't have any art. But in most cases, you're not going to maximize your efficacy of selling if you're just doing it by yourself, right? So we can benefit each other. And I say we in that sense as a gallerist, but I'm supposed to be neutral in this conversation. So both parties can benefit each other. I'm also an artist, so, but I'm supposed to be neutral in this conversation. So if I slide out of that neutrality, forgive me, give me a moment, I'll become aware and I'll slide right back in. I just want to point out some points, right? So first and foremost, I believe if you work, you should get paid, period. And I understand the whole, intern thing, and it might be a short span of time where you're kind of just soaking in experience and taking that as conversation for working. I definitely believe in the age-old proven structure of apprentices and mentors, mentees, and things. So, and even all the best athletes in all the different arenas, and everybody has coaches, to get the best out of them. So I definitely believe in finding somebody who believes in you, who's going to work with you, and if they work, they should get paid. Period. If you had somebody sell your house for you, you think they shouldn't get paid just because it was a possibility that somebody would have come and bought it directly from the seller, which would be you. They worked, they should get paid. Not only did they go through what it took to train and get them in that position, and I guess it's a little bit different because there's no licenses to become a gallerist or an art dealer. So do your due diligence and do your research. See what, prerequisite experiences, relationships that person or entity might have before you do business with them. All of them are not created the same because they're all run by people, and people are not the same. People are different, period. So just because you've had great experiences with a bunch of them, don't mean everyone is going to be great experiences. Just because you had a bad experience with one doesn't mean all of them going to be a bad experience. It's people. And then things happen as well too. So I can't say I have a flawless record of always having all the best interactions and relationships and everything with artists as well. Myself, stuff happen, and people are often sensitive, and some relationships are irreparable, off of mistakes and everything as well. So you do what you do. But if you have somebody working on your behalf, putting their name out there for you, their reputation out there for you, because they could look foolish if what they have is perceived as foolish as well. But the whole thing is it's supposed to be a system that works for all parties involved, right? You have art buyers who only want to deal with art dealers or gallerists. It's a lot more than you realize. Sometimes, just like you don't want to deal with people, they don't want to deal with people. They might want to deal with one person, and especially if they trust them and know they have that knowledge to hunt down something for them, why would they go all over the place looking for them? Maybe you just talk to somebody and they can go find what it is that they want. So they might not even know you existed, but that gallery or that dealer now made them aware of you, and now they're interested. Now they want your stuff. Even if not in that moment, now they just watching you for if your name rings, again, and they'll be like, I heard that name before. And it's because of that first initial gallery who might not have sold your stuff, but implanted seed into a collector's mind. And when they saw you somewhere else now, they're like, oh, I've heard that name before. That person must be serious, because that leads towards the 7-11-4. In marketing, and the 4 is 4 different locations seeing you in, seeing your seriousness. If they see you in 4 different locations, you're probably doing something correct. So for more than one reason, you want to have, if you're looking to be the fine art route, you want to have your pieces in spaces, in art spaces, in galleries, in museum collections, in exhibitions. They have to be there. You need to be seen. I hate to use the word exposure, because you can die from exposure in the wilderness. Exposure is serious. And you typically don't get paid immediately from exposure, but it can lead you to where you need to be strategically, if it is in the right places. And of course, always know what you look to get out of it, but I personally try to do 2 birds in 1 stone thing. So it's like, okay, if I have my art in a place that has a good chance to sell my art, and I go by that because my art is for their audience. You should do that research, right? Not only could I make a sale, even if it doesn't happen, there's another few hundred people that wear me that might not have been previously, who might start checking out my website now, might join my mailing list now. Because people go and do research. They find out about you. They're going to start checking you out, looking you up and all of that. So even if it takes a couple of years for them to get something, maybe they're waiting for that right piece at that right time when they had the right amount of money. And something came along that they liked while they had it, and bam, been watching, waiting, got it. And it was also waiting to see if you was gonna give up, see what your trajectory was, see what the prices was, started looking like. Did they go down? You're doing sales left and right, which indicative that you're not doing well in sales, or your price is going up, or you getting more accolades, your CV popping now, like what's happening. But outside of galleries, there's really little way to keep track, to keep record of your sales that are justifiable, because you could put whatever in your spreadsheets, right? So when you go to get appraisals for whatever reason, it's harder to come up with what the art is worth, because we don't really have just track record, because we've been intentionally staying out of, galleries or, places with people that are reporting these sales, reporting these, taxes on the sales, and keeping records, of these sales and records of the buyers and things like that. We need to be taking this into account. So at the very least, I recommend being open to and being business partners with, because essentially you're business partners with galleries. Now, you don't have to have an exclusive deal with a gallery to where they're the only way to get your work. I personally only know a few artists that the only way you can get their work is through galleries. I do know a few that only deal with a couple of galleries, like exclusively, so they won't bring in any additional galleries, and those galleries are in different markets as well too, so they don't compete with each other geographically at all. But outside of those galleries, you can still get some work directly from the artist as well. Now, probably gonna be on the waiting list from one of the ones I'm thinking about in particular. She got a lot going on, and the galleries do get priority for her work. So might be waiting a little bit, but you can definitely still get in contact and get something done, especially if you're making a nice deposit up front and you're willing to wait. So it's not like that's going to be the only place that's selling your art or the only income that's coming in. It's a tool, it's additional income, it's more opportunities, more money, more eyes on your work, more mouths, more voices talking about you, talking about your work, and that's what you need, that's what you want. And kind of the same thing as with, jobs. You start at a level and you get that on your resume, and you can use that to leverage a bigger, better position and more money and all of that. You can do the same thing as well. So you can start with, lower tier galleries, let's say, and then start to move your way up. So really just finding something to kind of get into, and I guess to get you experience just dealing with gallery spirit anyway. And don't ever let just one experience be your every experience. They're all going to be different because they're all going to have different people. But there are going to be certain things that you're going to learn, some commonalities, just because in the way doing business and as a gallery is kind of just doing business as a gallery, right? Um, but you'll start to learn about the ways you prefer to do business with, um, or people you prefer to do business with, and ways you prefer to do business. So the whole giving the piece of your work, one, you could have easily not have sold that work. So it's the whole saying, a percentage of something is better than 100% of nothing. Yeah. Um, it could sell, it could not sell. Again, you taking the same gamble that the gallery is taking on you, because they could have your stuff up or somebody else's stuff up. And if your stuff didn't sold, somebody else's could have possibly sold. Now, we don't know. We wouldn't know. We can't rewind time and replace it and see what happened. But they're taking a chance on you as well as you're taking on them. And they're working. They should get paid. There's plenty of people who don't want to go to where you're currently selling art out of, which is your living room, and go to see the art, and you're not letting them in your house either because you don't know these strangers. And think about the numbers game, about how many people have to look at a piece of art on average before it sells. Especially if we're talking about looking at it online, because that's even more eyes on it before it actually sells. Think about if you were selling cars or selling houses. That realtor, again, you could sell a house yourself. You could put it up for sale by owner. Actually, there's a lot fewer people who go to those things versus go to a regular MLS listing, or just hit up a realtor and have them go see places. Like, they want protection. They want somebody, an intermediary. You want somebody negotiating for them. That realtor might have had to show that house to 30 different people before somebody bought it. So when it gets sold, yeah, they get a commission. It works. That gallery has probably talked to at least 50 people about that piece before somebody even bought it. Yeah, they should get paid. It worked. Unless you got slaves, you need to be paying for people that's working for you. Period. Again, a gallery is a tool. It's one tool, one piece of the puzzle that you use. And I personally have learned about more artists through art galleries and art gallery shows and events than any other way. And I get introduced literally, and just like made aware of new artists, I would say multiple times a week, just easily. I was gonna say like every day, every other day, but hands down, because maybe I go on vacation or something, but hands down, still multiple times a week. And even with that, still I found out about more artists through galleries than any other way. I might go to see a specific artist, and there might be a group show and there's 7 other artists in there. I'm reading the list of artists. I didn't find out about those artists. So you might not be a hot artist or the artist that people go to see a particular show, but you made it in that show, and now they know of you because you're in that show. Now that might be one touch point, and we all know it's going to take multiple touch points typically. But you got to start somewhere, and you got that one because you got in the gallery. And if you're so afraid of commissions, think about this as well. You can, and especially if you have leverage, if you have a track record, if you have people that are coming and looking for your stuff, you can negotiate commissions. Like, don't just ever think just because that's that number is immovable. It's probably a low chance of it moving, but if you have leverage, and particularly if you're gonna be doing volume, you can ask for them to take a lower percentage, or you can arrange it based off of some type of test. Like, okay, well, you know, let's do this percentage ad for our first 5 pieces, and for me to show you that I can do these numbers, move these numbers. People are gonna be coming in to get this art. Your phone gonna be ringing. You're gonna get all types of inquiries online, all of that, and we're gonna do business. And then once I move to 5, then we're gonna change our percentage to this or whatever the case may be. You can definitely negotiate that as well too. So don't be afraid to open up your mouth. And like I said in previous episodes, don't be afraid to be creative outside of when you're creating your creations. Be creative in your business as well too. Open your mouth. If you need any ideas, hit me. We can talk about it, work that out for you. Again, episode is brought to you by the Pay the Artist Club. Make sure you visit me at D.Muse on Instagram or imdmuse.com and send me a message, and we'll talk about getting you into our group coaching online program called the Pay the Artist Club and get you right. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like this, you rate this, 5 stars and all of that. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this everywhere. And I get back to you. This is D.Muse, Pay the Artist. Peace.